Hey, it's Don the Auction Professor. Today I thought I would literally start on the screen instead of wasting the time. I'm going to go over how I fix some photos from older listings without taking new photos. And I'm also going to go over a little bit over listing new items. Every actual listing I have has basically the exact same template. I use it for everything. I just alter a few words. These are actually live listings here. I'm going to alter some active listings. We do this a couple hundred a week. Every single week I go back and we alter old listings that have been up for a while. We have probably about 7,000 listings that were up for quite a little bit of while, or that we reused and altered how we list at some point. We follow other sellers, and when they've changed their mode of operation, we've tried to follow suit after we've tested it, of course. One way was zooming in on photos on collectible items. Let's actually go in and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Let's edit this one. This is one that's been up for a little while. And we're going to actually change the photo. I'm probably going to do a little bit on the title too, because we actually just copied and pasted sell similar item for most of these. We're going to sit here and I am going to save a copy of this. We're going to replace the one, and we're going to change the main image on this. If you go back, once you're here, you're going to add a photo. We're going to add that copy we just did, and then we're going to move it to the front. Again, these are old ones. We don't even photo this way at all anymore. I've got a totally different background. But what you want to do on these is actually fill the entire image up with just a segment of your item. This draws attention to the main key points of the item. We've seen it, we've tested it. I've tested hundreds of listings this way versus the normal way, including the exact same item. So I've got many of this same card here, as well as other cards too. So we're going to sit here and adjust it. Make an interesting image for the key image of this. And I actually see there's a little mar there that we're going to list. We're going to put in decent condition for its age, but does have age wear and a white spot on the face by the clock's face. And then we're going to leave it at that. But for the main picture, when you alter it this way, it draws attention to the card. It's a big difference from looking at this, which is a terrible picture, wasn't adjusted properly, to this one. This is pretty much what the actual card looks like. It draws attention to the listing. It shows the clock right away. You can see the names. The guy has a pocket watch. And then I'm going to go down here after I fix the photo. We're going to keep the title or the price the same. This card I've sold for $20 or so each time. I've sold several of these, so not a big deal. We're going to the Waterbury Watch Company, grandfather clock. We're going to leave the title. That's my bin number where the item is located at. Let's fix this back up there. But then we're going to go ahead and probably address the other photos too while we're here. We're going to just clean these up a little bit. Again, this can be done to any photos. The main photo is what draws them in. So that's the one that is the most important photo you can put up. And again, some of this is a little light. When these were originally listed a year or two ago, the actual quality of the photo adjusting was not as good as it is now. And the options weren't that great for getting better looking photos, but they've improved it over the time. And again, we were trying to rush to get listings up, which was a mistake on our behalf. So now we're going back in and fixing them all. And many times when we fix them like this, they sell fairly quick. We'll sell a few right away. If we do 50 or 60, I'll sell 2 or 3 that same night after I fix the photos. That's a given, and it's an honest estimate. So every day we sell 2 or 3 more that we wouldn't have sold had we not adjusted them. So let's go ahead and update this real quick. We'll do a couple of these just so you can kind of get the gist of it. It only takes a few moments, literally. I'm taking a little extra time because I'm showing you, but I'm going to go to I'm done instead of doing it that way. We'll start to finish. And I'm just going to search. That's my bin F6. As soon as it finishes loading, and it's taking its time today, so give it just a moment. There we are, F6. We'll do that search real quick. I'll pull back up that same bin, and we're going to do another one from that same bin. And then I'm going to pop over to some unlisted ones, or non-active, and we're going to go over those real quick too. You can see the difference here. This draws attention as opposed to this one here. Let's pick this one here. Let's edit this one here. What I do is I'll give one of my employees a list. I'll say F6 is today. He'll go through and fix every one in F6 that was not addressed. So that's how we work that. Let's see here. Let's take off the word trade and let's fix the date as well too. I forgot the apostrophe, or we were limiting space. Not that that's necessary, but let's put another dot in there too. The image is what you want to sell. This one's not the best image. Again, these were taken on an older camera. They were taken quite some time ago. We were just ready to get stuff up. When I save it to a file, I save over the same photo over and over and over again. That way I'm not stuck with a whole bunch of photos to look through. It works really easy. Then it pops me right back up to the same photo. So that leaves one photo to adjust. When I do photos, when I'm doing like multiple listings from like eBay and I'm swapping over to Amazon, I'll save 2 photos or however many photos I need when I'm doing it. I do it the same way I'm doing here. I literally fix the photos in eBay just like I'm doing here. I'll save them to a file, and then I'll up them from that same file to Amazon at the same time. Let's go ahead and adjust this one here. This one may not adjust out super. It's a little bad picture. Oh, nope, it's not too bad. Just say they've really fixed the photo adjuster. I never use the auto one either. It never seems to be quite right. This has a metallic looking like gilt background, so it's hard to catch a good image on this, but that's probably good enough for this. We probably will lower the price on this one. Let's put it over here. This would be the best way. I used to use just an old ruler. We've obviously moved up in the world. We try to make things look much better than we used to. In fact, in a lot of these items, I've even removed and just honestly deleted hundreds of listings in the past, ones that just weren't up to our par. This one may be able to be redone totally or just pulled, but the back on this one's pretty nice. It's still a decent card. I'll still probably get 10 or 15 bucks, I would imagine, for it. We'll see what happens after I do this today. Let's fix this up just a little bit here. But this is literally, you can go back in, you can fix all kinds of listings, ones that have been up for a year or so. Again, I'm not a crash and burn person. I don't pull things down just because they haven't sold in a year. It takes the right type of person to be on. Yeah, we're going to drop this one down here. Let's put it at 1850. Again, prices mean nothing. You can change them all day long. And never keep anything locked in. On items like this, this is the only one that's up. There's no comparable to it. So it just depends. You can throw out a price, and if you get it, you get it great. If not, adjust it. Everything changes. So what's trending 2 years ago may not be trending today. Let's list this up here. That also goes with like if you're paying for like WorthPoint or any of these other sites. They only list closed or sold items, and that's meaningless if it's from 2009, 2010. 10 years ago, everything sold differently. Everything did. So, again, don't waste your money on things like that. Plus, with like WorthPoint, there's a dozen other sites that WorthPoint doesn't cover. There's private sites, there's other auction houses, other auction sites that just aren't covered. And if you're doing things like that and looking at what's sold, you're cherry picking. Just because 10 sold at $100 of any given item, there might be 10,000 of that item that never sold, or that sold for too low of an amount not to show up on like WorthPoint or something, or even like PopPsych. Any of those sites that you use. I do pay for PopPsych, but PopPsych is just for records, and I only look at the current ones, the recent sales, or I use it for extremely rare records that maybe there's only 1 or 2 of that have ever sold in history. So for something like that, yeah, it's worth it. But for like WorthPoint, if you're looking at something that like 100 sold, it's just not worth your time. Or your money, for that matter. We'll just finish it off on fixing that one. For unsold listings, the same thing. What we do is we list a whole bunch of listings to fill up my 1,000 free auctions that I get each month with my anchor stores. So I get 1,000 on this anchor store, and I get 1,000 on the other one. When I don't have 1,000 listings, what we'll do is we'll pull off some of the older items, and I'll just throw them up really cheap. And if they've been up for a year or two or longer, I don't mind doing this. We'll throw a real low price out. Usually we'll get, say, a couple hundred hits out of it, and I'll sell some items. They never usually go just for $2.99. If they do, they've been up for a while. I've got hundreds and hundreds of new items to list every single day of the week, so it's not a big ordeal. But let's relist one of these real quick, and I'm going to show you my form I use. This one here is an older one, so I tried to limit space and how we do it. I'm going to add a couple little details in here and go from there. This one here is a nice image. We're going to copy this just as I did all the other ones. I'm going to save the image. You can do this on any of your own listings. If you click on to enlarge it, and then you right-click again, right-click will do the Save Image As. That's how I'm doing this. It works with any of your own listings. This is a way you can double list on Amazon. Let's say you started off and you have a bunch of listings, 100 listings you want to list on another site as well. You can just literally go into each one of those listings. You can copy and paste the title. You can download the images this way too, and just copy them over to whatever site you're using. This is literally how we do Amazon from eBay listings. So I'm going to move it over here. I can see the color scheme is off too. We're going to address this real quick here. I'm going to zoom in, as I said, to the listing, pick something really neat, block out everything but the image. This honestly helps. We have increased sales because of this, 20-30% in many categories. This cannot be done in every category, but it can be done in a lot of them. Sometimes it's hard to get the exact, but play with it a little bit, see where it looks the best, and then go with that. Let's see here. We're going to put it right there. It's a cute baby image. In fact, let's change the listing a bit. We'll put cute, lovely Bacchus mythology baby grapes, and then we're going to put card at the end. This way it looks fresh, especially when you're relisting listings. And I also, on these old ones, I used to use a dark background. Now we just use white with a actual size ruler that's white. Everything looks better. That way we can list everything on Amazon or any other site without worrying about distractions or violating any photo rulings, such as in Amazon. You can't have other objects in there. So the main photo on all of them these days is the object with just a plain white ruler on the side. But this does work, it does help, and it does allow you to list the items on other sites too without any issue. And again, we found out later on, after we had been doing this for a while, that like plain white backs with the dark background, the camera isn't able to adjust properly. So on these you really need to adjust, and they won't be perfect, and I'm not worried about the backs. They're plain. We'll get it to where it looks fairly white. We'll do it that. And again, this is it. We're going to go down here. That's all the adjustments I do there. I'm going to put this back on a fixed price. Good till sold. It should automatically default to it, which it does. Let buyers make an offer. And I'm going to put $14.50 on this one. And again, I've got a couple 100,000 of these cards, and no exaggeration. I'll show you some of my stockpiles one of these days soon. Everything else, though, down here is actually, let's see, is not on the bird's wings. I think we've actually got a listing that we need to adjust to. So I'm going to delete some of this here because it looks like it's from another listing. Sometimes when you're doing sell similar items, it carries over information from another listing that you may forget to change. So that looks like what it was done here, but we're fixed it all up. Again, this is a good thing to do. Go back through your listings and check them out from time to time. We're going to do a brand new one here, and I'm just going to sell, create a similar. I'm going to list a brand new item here as well and show you. Again, these file numbers I use for everything. And I'm going to list my new one in D2. I already know where that's at. We're going to wipe out all of this. Same category ever, same category for my store category. We're going to wipe out the photos, and I'm going to show you some of my setup here. I don't really worry about these category picks or item specifics. Most people in the vintage categories know what they're looking for, and they're already going to be looking for it in the Victorian trade card category, or if they're looking in my store, it's Victorian trade cards as well. That goes to not putting too much information into your listing all the time. Something like this, I'm going to show you in just a second here, but try to keep your listings information basic on some of the vintage items. It does draw more people in. And again, I use the same everything. This is all the same for every listing I have. I'll just alter the actual first few sentences to say what this item is. If this was a shirt, I would put original shirt, or I might not even use the word original, but I'd just put a used shirt, or if it's a vintage shirt, I'd put original vintage shirt. And then the condition itself, I always put in this section here. And then I'm just going to put in a description here real quick. And this is usually how I put it. The card is in decent condition for its age as shown. So you're looking at the picture, kind of refer them back to the picture. And then I'm just going to go to the photos here. We're going to upload the photos. We're going to go to my card. You can see it's my Nikon camera. The 5300 is what these came off of. On this one here, I actually have two of the same card, as you can see. On things like this, I try to list separate listings, just because the condition on these old items is could be different. Even if it's a tiny little speck on the card, it might be something that the person isn't happy with. So I always try to list it separately, each individual listing, even if I have two. You can see, let me go back in here just to show you. You can see I actually have taken two sets of photos for it. There's a little difference in creasing and wear, so I do again try to list it this way. And I'll show you what I do in the title to differentiate. But here's my new backgrounds. This is what I use on everything now. This paper that you see in the background is literally a piece of paper I've printed off. It's an actual 1-to-1 square inch ruler that I found online with a simple Google search. Took me about a minute to find one that worked, and then I downloaded the file and I have it. So you can print off dozens of those and just use a new one each time. And when I try to get the photo, I try to get it as realistic to what the object looks. I've got the actual card sitting in front of me, and that's what I'm doing to do it. When you do a bunch of these, it's really quick to fix them. It literally takes just a couple minutes. Again, I'm talking and I'm kind of distracted from what I would normally be doing. I'd normally have the music on and I'd just be sitting here rocking it and listing as quickly as I can. I can list quite a few in a day. 120 items is about average for a day for me. And then again, I've got a couple other people usually listing any day of the week. So we usually get about 300 items up a day. I sell sometimes 100 items in a day, so you know the object is to get as many items up as possible. Every day we don't get 300 up, but that's about an average when we're trying to list a lot with 3 people. Sometimes in the summer we'll list a lot more than that. Christmas time we could sell 1,500 items a month or more. So we try to get up during the summer as many items as we can. Everybody works all the way through. And here I broke my own rule. We want to zoom in on this one here. This is what I meant to do, but we are going to fix that real quick here. The main image, you always want a zoom in from what I have seen in my experience. Draw attention to the best part, the best feature. Just a cute kid holding a butterfly. So we're going to go up here and we're going to put adorable baby butterfly. It's J&P Coats. And I know I see a couple errors here. I'm distracted, obviously, as I'm typing for everybody to see this. We're going to go back in and fix that here. Believe it or not, I can type. I'm just a little distracted trying to do it this way, but we will get through this. Spool, cotton thread, fab, trade card. And that's about all I'm going to list on this one here. We've got the condition. It automatically, when I sell similar items, brings in the same category. If I'm listing a record, I'll just go and sell a similar from a record, because when I do that way, all the details down here will ought to be changed to list that type of record. And usually I'll just pull a bin that I've already used from the previous one, like records. I use the same numbering scheme for records. I have an A5, D5, the whole works, and then I'll just pull up a bin that I'll be listing in, and chances are I'll have another item in that bin, or I'll pull up another bin that's right before it and then start with another bin number. But when you start with a cell similar, you've got all the information there for you. Everything's there, your scheme, the layout, everything. So that's what I do. This card I'm going to list for $9.50. These are pretty common, but I've got pennies into this card. So again, and I've got many of them. Just the two I'm listing now, I've got way more than that of the same cards. In some cases, I've got 30 and 40 of the same cards. And I do not do multiple auctions on the vintage items, just because there is some difference in the item. But I'll just double check everything, make sure it's got all the key features here. Let buyers make offers. The pricing wise, everything should be the same. My shipping is here, not free shipping as you see, first class. And then I use the global shipping program, and there's a few countries that I ship straight to. I've added Germany to that as well, so let me just double check that. You can multi-do this. You can just alter and change 500 listings at a time if you want to fix the shipping information. That's what I'll do sometimes when I've changed something or add a country to it. Again, this was from a ended listing, so we do fix listings all the time. I put 3 or 4 ounces for anything like this. With my packing, it's over 2, and the price cutoff point for raising the price for shipping costs is 5 ounces. So anything under 5 ounces ships pretty much the same rate. So that's how I leave it. But that's one of my listings. That's literally how I list hundreds of items. That's how I have employees list my items. They'll literally pull up and sell a similar item and pick a bin, and that's where they go off from. And we're going to pop back over here just for a second. But you can see on this here, I've got 18,000 listings active. I think I've got like 400 or 500 on this one account that are unsold, unrelisted. And again, these are things that we need to address, adjust, or double list. Let me see what we've got today. We had like 300 or 400 in yesterday, so yeah. See, like on these here, all these records were new items we just listed. You can see the same numbering scheme, A14. I don't number everything like the album sets. They all go in one specific spot by the alphabet-wise. So like Art Hodge would be right in the front, and you can just look to the A's, you can look to the W's, you can look to the G's. So for on the album size, these are like multi-record albums of 78s. Prior to LPs coming out, records, to have an LP, you'd have to have many records, because each side of a record, even the 10-inchers, would only hold one song. So, but anyway. Like all of these are going to be double listed. What they'll be done is one of my employees will go through these one by one and copy and paste the images and the titles to an Amazon listing. And that's literally how all these will be addressed. Once they listed them on Amazon, they'll just simply be relisted at the same price you see them already. Again, records sell very often for us, a couple a day, every single day of the week. But we sell or have so many records that we list a bunch on eBay first, and then we'll come back in if we don't have time and then list them up on Amazon. The key is to get them up quick, to get some action moving on them, and then to double list on Amazon. But you can see I've got a lot of records here. This is just one little grouping. That was listed by me. A lot of these toys were listed by other people. These are ones we just dumped off really cheap. These are things we've had up for a while. A lot of these may even be just deleted or dumped into group lots. But that's what we'll do when things have been up for a while. A lot of these things will still sell. It just takes the right person. And I don't mind sitting on something for, a long length of time if I think it's going to sell. All these items have comp sales that have all sold. But again, these are items that, we have to go through and adjust from time to time. But you can see we've got a lot of items here. These are all unlisted currently, ready to go. This is where we'll sink some time into to fix them. These are all ready to go, so it's just a matter of adjusting the photos, the prices, or whatever the case may be. Some of these are cheaper items. We may just trash them. Very rarely do I do that. In this case, when we pull things off like that, small items, we'll probably just throw them in a lot and then relist them from one of those same listings. But again, here's some more records from another lot grouping. Again, we list them to start with for 30 days. And then at the end of the 30 days, one of my employees will go ahead and double list them on Amazon and Discogs. I list the first initial listing for all of the 78s, just so I know that the condition's correct. I am the main one who judges the condition on records. I've seen tens and tens and tens of thousands of records, probably close to 1 million in my day. Most of the other people here haven't. My one son, my oldest, has seen a bunch of records. He's fairly good on judging the 78s, but isn't as good on the 45s or LPs. So I try to list most of the records myself. So that's what we do from there. But I hope that gives you some idea on how we list, what you can do to list. Self-similar is always the best way to go. Get yourself a set template, a pattern that you can use for every listing, and keep to that pattern for everything. Just alter or add the information in. That's all you really need to do. It's a quick list. Literally, you should be able to list an item in just a couple minutes, no matter what it is. That's what we do. It's always worked for us. Again, Don the Auction Professor, hope you liked it. Please hit the like button, watch, subscribe, and tell a friend.